Imagine a vast ocean, the cradle of life, a source of unexplored mysteries, and for millennia, humanity's inexhaustible pantry. But today, this pantry is nearly empty. Our industrial appetites, armed with trawlers and sonars, are scraping the seabed clean, leaving behind a desert. Traditional fishing, as we know it, stands on the brink not merely of crisis, but of complete systemic collapse. According to the United Nations, over 90% of the world's fish stocks are either fished to their limits or irreversibly depleted. We face a paradox. Demand for seafood is rising, yet supply is vanishing. But what if we could obtain the ocean's bounty without taking from it? What if we could create the perfect fillet of bluefin tuna or a tender salmon steak in the sterile conditions of a bioreactor? This is not science fiction. This is cellular aquaculture. And it promises not just new food, but a complete restructuring of our relationship with the ocean. What are lab-grown seafood products? They are genuine fish meat cultivated directly from animal cells. The process begins with a painless biopsy, taking a small sample of muscle cells from a living, healthy fish. These cells, known as starter cultures, are placed in a nutrient medium. This is a complex broth of amino acids, vitamins, sugars, and growth factors, everything a cell needs to thrive. In the controlled environment of a bioreactor, the cells do what they do best. They divide and grow. They differentiate, forming muscle fibers, or myofibrils, and fat tissue, or adipocytes. These components create the very texture, marbling, and flavor that we value in wild fish. This is literally fish grown without the fish, without scales, without bones, without suffering, and critically, without ecological devastation. Leading this revolution are companies like BlueNalu from San Diego. They are not merely producing mince. Their goal is high-value products, full fillets of endangered species such as bluefin tuna. They focus on creating the complex three-dimensional structure of meat that is indistinguishable from a cut of ocean-caught fish. Meanwhile, fundamental science advances steadily. Researchers at the University of California are addressing two key challenges. First, reducing the cost of the nutrient medium, which remains the most expensive component of the process. Second, developing edible scaffolds or frameworks, often plant-based, that guide cell growth, shaping them into authentic fillets. The benefits extend far beyond simply saving fish populations. First, product purity. Cellular seafood is grown in a sterile environment. This means zero heavy metals, such as mercury, zero microplastics, which contaminate nearly all wild fish today, zero antibiotics, which are often overused on aquaculture farms. Second, environmental footprint. Cellular aquaculture requires no massive trawlers burning diesel. It avoids bycatch, the accidental killing of dolphins, turtles, and seabirds. It demands significantly less water and land, and its carbon footprint is potentially much lower. Of course, the path from laboratory to global market is filled with challenges. The first and most obvious is taste and texture. Can a bioreactor replicate the complex flavor profile of wild salmon, shaped by its unique diet? Initial taste tests yield impressive results. Renowned chefs participating in blind tastings often cannot distinguish cultivated fish from traditional. The second barrier is regulatory. How to classify this entirely new product? Humanity has never encountered such a thing before. However, progress is underway. Singapore has become the first country to approve the sale of cellular meat. In the United States, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, and USDA, Department of Agriculture, have developed a joint regulatory framework, and the first cellular chicken products have already received approval. Seafood is next in line. The third and most complex challenge is scaling and cost. Currently, the production cost of lab-grown fillets remains astronomical. To compete with traditional fishing, the industry must transition from laboratory flasks to massive industrial bioreactors with volumes in the thousands of liters. This is an engineering and capital endeavor of monumental scale. But if we succeed, the potential for global nutrition is colossal. Imagine fresh, clean, safe seafood available anywhere in the world, even in regions far from the ocean. This addresses food security for billions in a rapidly warming world where populations continue to grow. So does this mean the end of traditional fishing? Perhaps not a complete end, but it is undoubtedly the end of fishing in its current predatory and destructive form. Cellular seafood is not just food. It is a technology that forces us to fundamentally rethink our place in the food chain. We stand on the threshold of a new era. An era where a tuna steak can emerge not from the bloody deck of a trawler, but from the clean room of a bioreactor. And perhaps this is the only way to save both our appetite and the ocean itself. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.